Good evening, guys. Sat Shri Akal, Namaste, Salaam Alaikum. If you are just joining, if you are there on this call, live session, just type in your name. If you are there on this live session, please type in your name and type in wherever you are connecting from. So I'm live both on Facebook as well as Instagram. If you are just joining in, please type in your name and type in where you're connecting from. Type in where you're connecting from, guys. Mention which part of India, which part of the world you're connecting from. So welcome each and every one of you today for the session on depression, and we are going to talk about why depression has become an integral part of today's world. But before I do that, just type in your name and please type in where you're connecting from. I'm trying to balance both Facebook as well as Instagram, so I'm simultaneously connected on both the platforms. Hi Harvinder from Chandigarh, so welcome Harvinder. Please mention your name and please mention where you're connecting from. I'm always excited to talk about whatever that I need to talk about in terms of my live sessions, in terms of my webinars and all of that stuff. But today, I am rather more excited because I think this is something, first of all, I'm going to tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing today, why I chose the topic which I chose. But I'm more excited to talk about depression today because this is something which really needs to be spoken about. Okay, so before I do that, please mention your name and mention where you're connecting from. Welcome Puneet from Bangalore. So I am there on both the sessions right now, both the channels right now. So welcome Puneet from Bangalore on Instagram. Welcome Harvinder from Chandigarh on Facebook. So please type in your name, guys. So the reason I'm more excited to talk about depression today. First of all, I chose this topic 10 days back. And the reason I chose this topic at that point of time was because I was speaking to a lot of people, okay, and it's been 2.5 months since the time lockdown has been in action, okay. Now it is obviously getting unlocked, but it's been 2.5 months, 3 months close to. So I was speaking to a lot of people, and what I was saying is a lot of people out there were going through depression, but they had no way out. They had no knowledge, no information about how they could tackle the depression. So that's how I thought of taking this topic up on my Facebook as well as Instagram live. But what happened last Sunday, it became all the more evident for me to talk on this topic. Now, I really believe in one thing. For some of you who know me personally or as part of my coaching programs, you will know that I really believe in one thing, which is everything that happens for a reason. So for me to decide this topic 10 days back and whatever that happened, and people are talking about mental health at a level that they are talking about since last 3-4 days. So it kind of all came together. So it makes more sense for me to be able to talk about what we need to talk about today. So this is the background of why I chose this particular topic. And a lot of people I see today, influential people from various fields, from various professions, talking about, when they're talking about depression, as something which is a very sensitive topic. A lot of people, I'm hearing a lot of people talk about mental health, talk about depression, talk about mental illness from various professions, very successful people, ultra successful people, rich people, famous people. They're talking about mental health, mental illness, depression as something which is a very sensitive topic. Now, what do we understand about a sensitive topic? Sensitive topic means a topic which most likely to cause disagreement amongst people, which might ruffle few feathers here and there, which might make people more angry or upset. That's a very sensitive topic. But the reason I'm not going to say depression is a sensitive topic, because first of all, not to sound too different, that's not what my objective is. The objective that I have in not saying depression is a sensitive topic, because when we say sensitive, we kind of hold on to what we really want to speak, hold on to what really needs to be spoken about in the public forum. And I don't want to hold on to anything. I like to say things as kind of plain black and white, because when we understand things on a black and white forum, on a black and white platform, then only we can tackle or do something about it. So I'm not going to say that this is a sensitive topic. This is not a sensitive topic. This is a topic which needs to be discussed about. If there are some feathers which gets flown away here and there, people might disagree, people might feel angry or upset on anything. The reason they do that, because somewhere everybody have their own perception about everything, right? We all have our own perception. Many people have gone through it. I have also gone through it. So I'm going to speak about my story as well, when I went through depression many years back. So everybody has their own story. And the reason people become angry or upset is because when their story, what they think about something is not matching what other people are talking about, then they become angry, then they become upset. What I would want all of you guys to do is, if you're going to attend this live session on Facebook as well as Instagram, what I want all of you guys to do it, not for me, absolutely not for me, but for your own self, is to have an open mind. And the reason I say you got to have an open mind means because if you're not going to have an open mind, immediately this mind is going to make you dominate and you'll start scrutinizing every small thing. Because we have our own opinion about every damn thing, so we will start scrutinizing every damn thing. If you are there on this live session, I think it is important for you to have an open mind without any judgments, without any opinions. You might agree with me, you might disagree with me. First of all, just because I'm a coach, I am a mental toughness coach, does not mean I know it all. Does not mean I know it all. It's the way I also live my life. You got to be humble enough to know that you don't know it all. But having said that, it's the way I look at depression and the way I'm going to speak about how anybody can tackle depression. So for that to happen, you got to have an open mind, not for me guys, but for your own self. This is something that we as a society needs to tackle together. And the only way that we can tackle together is once we have an open mind to listen to everybody out there. Because the more you, first of all, a lot of people think I know it all, you don't know it all. Nobody knows it all. The more you think you know it all, the more you realize that you don't know anything. Because in this world, the more you know about the world, the more you know about something, you will realize that there is so much to learn. So let's have that humbleness within each and every one of us. Let's have that perspective clear. Let's not try to judge, make opinions, this, that, you know what, this is what I think, this is what you think. Let's not do that. We are here to discuss about something which is the real thing in this world, in this modern world. So I'm gonna speak about what I think, how it has become so prevalent today. So I want all of you guys to have an open mind, not for me, but for your own self. If you're ready for that, mention yes Ravneet in the comment box. Mention yes Ravneet in the comment box. So let me just welcome few people till the time. Welcome Harjeet, welcome Aditi, welcome MS Little Elf, welcome Venkatesh, welcome Shivraj, welcome Kunal. Welcome guys, welcome all of you. Sat Shri Akal, Busy Guy 10, bro, good wishes. So thank you so much. Welcome Netra, welcome Sukhvinder from Chandigarh, welcome Prunal. Please mention your name, please mention where you're connecting from. Welcome Kuljit Kaur. Kuljit Kaur is my Masi, if I'm correct. Welcome Masi. So welcome guys, please mention your name, please mention where you're connecting from. Welcome Sangeeta Bhatia. Welcome guys. So let's start. So I want all of you guys to mention that you have an open mind, and that's how we are going to move forward. So if yes, if you agree to that, please mention yes in the comment box. Mention yes in the comment box. You can disagree with me. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree at all. You can have your own opinion, but if you're there, if you're spending your 1 hour with me, 45 minutes with me, then it is your responsibility to keep an open mind for yourself and not for me. I hope that is very, very plain and clear with all of you guys. So make sure you do that. So welcome Dipali, welcome Basil Pinto. So welcome guys, welcome all of you. Let's start. So first of all, this is something which has been going on from last few days, especially because of the recent happenings, the recent event which has happened in this country. I'm sure most of you are aware of it. The death of a certain person which was into public limelight, because of which a lot of discussion has started on mental health, on mental illness, on depression, on a lot of things. Now, is this something which has actually come up in last few days? Absolutely not. It has been there from so many years. It has been there from the time humanity exists, but it has become all the more prevalent in last 30, 40, 50 years. And I'm going to talk about it, why it has become so much prevalent in today's world in last 30, 40 years, and why not maybe 100 years ago. So first of all, let's understand one thing about depression today. All the people who have gone through depression, and I've also gone through depression, when I'm going to speak about my story as well in a while from now, all the people who have gone through depression since the time humanity exists, all the people who are going through, first thing is, yes, all of us needs to be very loving, needs to be very kind, needs to be compassionate. हमारे अंदर प्यार होना चाहिए, हमारे अंदर kindness होनी चाहिए, to be able to make sure that people who are suffering from it, people who have suffered from it, we show some love, we show some kindness, we show some compassion. Fantastic, amazing. We all should do that as a nice, as a good human being. But I also see many people talking about depression in a very casual way, in a very loose way. A lot of people today, if let's say today your girlfriend is not picking up the phone, one friend will say to another, you know what, यार आज मुझे कॉल मत कर, आज मेरे से बात मत कर, आज मैं बहुत डिप्रेस्ड हूँ. India-Pakistan cricket match is going on and you're very passionate about cricket and India has lost the match, you'll say, yaar, aaj ka bahut depressing day hai. A lot of people talk about depression today as something which is very, very casual, which is very, very loose. We all should not do that, because it's one thing to use an English word. It's one thing to use an English word, and it's completely another thing to really know the meaning behind that particular mental health, behind that particular mental state. A lot of people use depression in a very casual way today, just because something is not happening immediately. Aaj kuch ho gaya, kal kuch ho gaya, ye ho gaya, I am depressed. Let's not do that, because depression is something which is deep, which is very, very complicated, and we are going to understand how we can tackle that. But let's not use depression as a word in a very casual way. A lot of us, by mistake, unconsciously, somewhere tend to use it. So I hope that is something, that's the first thing that I want all of you guys to remember, that let's not encourage other people. Even if people are saying it, let's ask them to change their language, because language plays a huge role. Let's not use depression as a word which is very, very, very common, and something which does not matter at all. Something which is not a big deal at all. It is a big deal. It is something which is very complicated. Let's understand depression first of all as what exactly depression. A lot of people have a lot of definition, guys. I might have my own definition. You might have your own definition. Your mother might have her own definition. Your friend might have their own definition. Every one of us have their own definition of what depression means. But if you really look at depression in a very simple and from a macro perspective, in a very simple language to understand, essentially what the way I see depression is, it's a mental state. It's a mental state until unless you are pathologically you are mentally disturbed. Pathologically is something which is medically, okay, which many people are not, because of your neuroscientific functions, because of your cognitive ways of the way your brain functions. Now that is pathologically, medically, mentally disturbed. That is different, which most people are not. For most people, it is a mental state which gets accumulated within you. For most people, it is essentially a collapse of your own mental faculties. When I say faculties, it essentially means your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings. Because your thoughts runs haywire, your emotions runs haywire, your feelings runs haywire, your mood runs haywire, which is essentially all part of your mental state. It is a collapse of your mental faculties, because most of us, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our mood are not on our side. It does not take any direction from us. It runs haywire. So when it runs haywire, a lot of people, I'll give you my story. When I was into depression many years back, and I did not even realize at that point of time that I was into depression. When I was into depression, there were times when I was very happy at one moment, and immediately the next moment, I became sad. There was one moment that I was very charged up about doing something, and the very next moment, I was kind of laid back. There was one moment I want to go out and meet my friends, meet my people, but the very next moment, I just wanted to lay in the bed and not want to do anything. So moment to moment, your mood changes. Moment to moment, your feelings changes. Moment to moment, your thoughts changes. At that point of time, I had even no idea. In fact, I used to go into depression and I used to come out of it. I used to go into depression and I used to come out of it. It happened with me for 2.5 years, where I was into depression, but I had no idea. I used to go into depression, come out. Used to go into depression, come out. And I'm going to talk about why I happened to go through that way and how so many people are going through similar way, and maybe more worse than what I went through, and why it is happening and how we can prevent that. But let's understand, your depression is, for most people out there, it is not pathologically that you're mentally disturbed. For most people out there, it is the lack of your control over your mental faculties, your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, which runs haywire. And because it runs haywire, it leads to overthinking. It leads to stress. The very first point of depression is stress. When something does not happen your way, you get stress, which turns into anxiety, which turns into sadness, which turns later on into depression. Depression does not happen in a single day. एक दिन में नहीं होता है. It is not happening in a single day. For some of you, if you are into a bad relationship, toxic relationship, small things which are happening with your partner, in your family, is making you create a loop in your head. And when that loop gets created in your head, you start going around that loop over and over and over and over again. And the reason we do that, because again, we do not have a system for us to manage our mental faculties. The way we run our mind, the way we run our thoughts, we run our feelings, we run our emotions. For example, today, Let's say you're driving a car. When you drive a car, when you want to drive a car, which is a machine, if you want to drive a car, what's the first thing that anybody needs to learn for them to drive this particular machine? The first thing that anybody needs to learn for them to drive this machine, which is a car, is to know how does this car function? What's the functionalities of this car? What's the function of the steering wheel? What's the function of a brake? What's the function of an accelerator? If you today, let's say, if you today start learning car and without knowing the functions of how the car functions, how the car runs, if you want to drive a car, what is going to happen? The only thing that I can foresee which is going to happen is an accident, because we have not put our thought, we have not learned as to how to run this machine, which is exactly what the case is with most of us today living in today's modern world. And the reason it is happening is because of one simple fact, and that one simple fact is we all have a story running in our mind. A story that this is how my life should be. This is how my career should be. This is how my business should be. This is how my fame should be. This is what success is. This is how my relationship should be. We all have a certain story running in our mind. And when this life is not happening the way we want it to happen, the way we want our career to go, the way we want our businesses to go, the way we want our relationships to go, when things are not happening the way we want it to happen, your experience of life becomes miserable. When your experience of life becomes miserable, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your lack of control over your thoughts, of your feelings, of your emotions, it runs haywire and it makes you go into a stressful state, which makes it go into a sadness, which makes it go into anxiety, which makes it a depression over a period of time. What most of us are not realizing is that all of us today have become, I'll use the word caddy. We have become caddy. We have become caddy who is in a cell, who is in a jail, who have mortgaged our life to our own story as to how my life should be. You know what? I had all these plans for myself, and this COVID-19 came into the picture. I wanted my business to be this way. I wanted my relationship to be this way. I wanted my career to be this way. And when things are not happening the way we want to happen, we have mortgaged our entire life to the own story that we have created in our own mind. Now, one thing that we got to understand is life is not going to happen your way, my way. It's not going to happen. You might be the richest person on the planet. You might be the best athlete on the planet. You might be the #1 coach on the planet. Life is not going to happen your way. And when life does not happen our way, how exactly we should run our mental faculties is the question. Now, when I'm saying this, a lot of people will say, Ravneet, I understand what you're saying. But Ravneet, sometimes even we want to change things, we want to change our mental faculties, we want to change our thoughts, we want to change our emotions, it is still not happening. I myself have gone through it. I was fighting it very hard to come out of my depression stage. I was fighting it very hard for me to become happy, for me to be joyful, for me to be cheerful, but it was not happening. I understand sometimes when we go through depression, today all the people, if anybody right now on this call, if you are right now going through depression, I'm not saying you are not trying to fight, I'm not saying you are liking depression. A lot of people say, people sometimes like depression. No, nobody likes depression. Nobody wants to be in that kind of a mood, that kind of feeling where you're just down and out, where your mood is changing, like, for example, your mood swings are happening just the way when a woman goes through menstrual cycle, their mood swings happen. That's the kind of mood swings happen when we are into a state, a mental state, which is called depression. It's an English word. It's an English word. You can call it anything. You can call it depression. You can call it a mental disorder. You can call it sadness. You can call it anxiety. You can call it whatever. Essentially, it's an English word which we call. But what is the meaning behind this English word? The meaning behind this is, because life is not happening the way we want it to happen, we let our thoughts, feelings, emotions run haywire. The first thing that we got to understand is, where is it coming from? The reason it is coming from is because right from our childhood, we all have been taught one thing. बचपन से लेके एग्जाम में आपको फर्स्ट आना है. You got to be the best athlete in your school. You got to do engineering, and you got to come first in your engineering. You got to crack these engineering exams. You got to crack your MBA exams. You got to get the best job. You got to go into the best college. You got to have a higher pay package. You got to get married to a right partner at a right age. You got to build a house. You got to buy a car. You got to build a family. Every one of these things which has come from the society of what success is. The biggest drawback which is coming because we are thinking how our life should be is because of the meaning or the definition that we have for success today. We all have a certain story running about success only. This is what success is. This is what success is. Money, fame, relationships, great relationships, business growth, my career growth. All of this is somewhere related to the success. You put your happiness, you put your life story attached to the story which is externally out there. And what we don't realize is that external story is not going to happen the way we want it to happen all the time. And because it is not going to happen the way we want it to happen all the time, is the reason most of us are suffering in our own head. For most of us today, why do you think today the world has become the kind of world which has become where so many people are depressed? I'll give you some statistics. I'll give you some numbers. If you look at numbers, statistically, in 1990, there were around 172 million people who were going through various stages of depression. 172, which is around 17 crore people. At that point of time, the world population was around 5.6 billion people, which is 560 crore people, which was around 2.9 to 3% of the overall world's population. So 2.9 to 3% of the overall world's population in late 90 were into various stages of depression. Today in 2020, that number has moved from 172 million people to 264 million people, which is a jump of 50% in less than 30 years or in 30 years. 50% jump in 30 years. And the overall population today on the world which is depressed or going through various stages of depression is around 3.4%. And if you go back even further, the number of people who are going through various stages of depression was even more less. Why am I saying that earlier the numbers were very, very less, and as the way world is increasing or the world is moving to the so-called modern stage, the numbers are increasing. What is the rationale behind where I'm going? Why am I saying what I'm saying? The reason I'm saying what I'm saying is because in last 30, 40, 50 years, our definition of success has taken a huge turn. There were people even 40, 50 years back who had a similar definition of success. But still, people were content. When I say content, that doesn't mean you should not become ambitious. So I'm going to talk about this in detail as to how you should change your definition of success itself. But in last 30, 40, 50 years, बचपन से ही ना एक रेस चला दी है. इस रेस में हर कोई भागे जा रहा है. Even as a coach, I'm supposed to talk about growth. जब तक growth नहीं होगी life में, तब तक आप कुछ नहीं होगे. What most people don't realize is, in your effort to be growing in every single area of your life, most people are not even coming close to growth because you're suffering with your own mind about your own thoughts, your own emotions. Overthinking comes, stress comes, sadness comes, anxiety comes. Today we talk about depression as something which is very, very, very common. The reason we say common, because most people are going through it. The reason I say common, or most people say common, because most people are going through it, right? Now, just because most people are going through it, we have made it so common, and today so many people out there, people who are into public limelight, they say depression is very common, and once it is common, we should actually accept it as a part of our reality. People are going through it, but does not mean we should accept it as something common. Tomorrow, for example, and listen to me with an open mind, guys. You might disagree with me, switch it off. But I am saying something which really needs to be talked about according to me. Today, let's say bomb blast starts happening in India, in every city. And it has been happening now, let's say for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. After 3 years, most people will think, you know what, it is very, very common. Just like today, a bomb blast happens in Syria, it is very common. A bomb blast happens in Iraq, it is very common. Because it has been happening from a long time, does not mean that it is common. We got to do something about it. Similarly, there was a time when smoking was not common. Today, as so many people smoke, so it has been accepted in a society that smoking is very common. There was a point when women never used to smoke, men used to smoke. Today, it is so common for women to smoke, and we have also accepted that as a society in the name of equality. That it is very common. Smoking is not common for a human being. A human body is not supposed to smoke. A human body is not supposed to smoke. A human being is not supposed to bomb other people. It is something very wrong. Tomorrow, if rapes start happening, we will talk about it in a way that, you know what, it is very, very common. Today, if riots starts happening, we will talk about it is very, very, very common. Because we have become used to it. There was a point when domestic violence was not at a stage that it should not be. So domestic violence at that point of time, maybe 30 years back, was not common. But today, it has become very common, domestic violence. Even though we have become modern, but still domestic violence is very common because most people or most families are going through domestic violence. Just because something has been happening, most people have been doing or most people have been going through, does not mean it is something very common. But the moment we accept that this is a part of being a human, because human have a positive emotion, a negative emotion. I understand our lives go up and down, up and down, up and down. Yes, we have all kinds of emotional states, angry, sadness, anxiety, depression. But the moment we put this in a label, in a bracket, that this is something which is very, very common, is the moment we stop fighting with it, is the moment we start thinking that every week, if we are going through depression, it is okay. Every month, if we get into depression, it is okay. Every year, if we get into depression again, it is okay. It's not okay. Maybe you're not learning how to manage your own faculties. Maybe we are not learning how to change our definition of success. If things are not happening our way, is it common, or should it be common that we should go into a sadness state? We should go into an anxiety state? We should go into a depression state because things are not happening? Or we should change the way we look at life? What's the right method? Should we not change the way? Should we not cut it from the root cause? Instead of talking about, mental health, mental illness is very, very common because we're a human being. I'll tell you something. I've seen a lot of people, and I myself have gone through for 2.5 years. There was the point that I also started believing, being a human, it is very, very common. If I'm going through it every single day or every single week, every alternate week, it is okay. Every alternate week we are going through depression, it is okay. Today, कुछ भी हो जाएगा, दूसरे हफ्ते depression. एक हफ्ता चलेगा सही, fantastic, amazing, we all are happy. But the next moment, we are in a depressed state. When I'm saying this, I have the compassion, I have the love, I have the kindness for everybody who is going through it, because I myself have not only seen it myself, I've seen recently many people who are part of my inner circle have battled depression. But until unless you give yourself an opportunity to learn how to drive this car, which is this mindset of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, nothing is going to happen. Either we can accept today, if you are saying that, let's accept that this is a part of a human society. In that case, when you buy a car, let's take the same example. In that case, you buy a car, you don't learn how to drive a car. You don't need to learn what's the function of a steering wheel, what's the function of a brake, what's the function of an accelerator. You should not learn. You should just go and drive a car, thinking that accidents are normal, accidents are common. Are we thinking that accidents are common? No, we take a precaution, right? So what's the precaution in this case? The precaution is we got to change few things about the way we live our life. The very first thing that needs to change is we got to change the definition of success in today's world. And we are not changing it because all people know this on a theoretical level, that money does not make you happiness, this does not make you happiness, that does not make you happiness, but you're not implementing it. Yes, you need to learn how to implement. Now think about success. For most people, if things are not happening your way, success is not happening your way, you get into depression, you get into sadness, anxiety. We need to understand one thing about life, okay? And I'm not something who is into the public limelight, public field, who is a coach, who is supposed to talk, let's just do it, let's just do it. No, I also am aware of the reality of life. Yes, we all need to grow in our career, in our business, in our health, in our relationship. I myself teach people how to grow in health, in relationship, in finance through the process of mental toughness. But I am also teaching people as to how they should also know the reality of life. And the reality of life is this. Let's understand this once and for all. You tomorrow become the richest person on the planet. You tomorrow have the most amazing fitness, amazing body. You tomorrow become the number one guy in your career profession. You tomorrow have the most amazing wife, amazing family, amazing children who are listening to you all the time. You have everything which is amazing in your life, which is what you're after right now. But one day you're going to die. So what if all of you achieve, still you're going to die one day? What does that mean? You're after running a certain race. You know what? I want to leave a legacy behind. I want to leave a legacy. People should remember my name. People should remember my name. Even if people should remember your name after 100 years, 200 years. Today, we talk about Shahid Bhagat Singh. We talk about Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King. Yes, we will talk about for the next 200 years also, for the next 300 years. So what? So what? So what? Who are you and who is me? हम हैं कौन इस दुनिया में? All of us are living on one simple planet. One single planet where there are 7.8 billion people. In this 7.8 billion people, we are just one person. And this 7.8 billion people is existing on one single planet. And this one single planet is a part of one solar system. This one solar system is a part of one galaxy. This one galaxy is a part of one universe. This one universe is a part of multiple universes, and there is no end to cosmos. You and I think that we are, you know what? We are some amazing person. We are nobody. In fact, nobody in this world is anybody. That does not mean you should not achieve success. That does not mean you should not grow in your career, business, health, relationship. But why are you attaching your happiness? Why are you attaching your life experience to that particular thing is the question. Why are we attaching that? Do we need to become 60? Do we need to turn 60, 70? Do we need to go to Himalaya? Do we need to become a spiritual monk to understand this? Or can we not understand this logically without becoming a spiritual guru, without becoming a monk, without going to Himalaya? In fact, I'll tell you about myself. In last 2 years, since the time I've understood this reality of life, my growth in my business, in every single area of my life has been more than 10x since the time I have understood the reality of life, which is no matter what I achieve, tomorrow I can become the world's #1 mental toughness coach. Still what? What? क्या कर लेंगे? क्या कर लेंगे? आप मुझे बताओ क्या कर? आपका नाम 200 साल तक लिया भी जाएगा, उसके बाद भी क्या? उसके बाद भी क्या? What? A lot of people talk about, in my own personal development industry, they talk about leaving a legacy, leaving a legacy. मेरा भी यही था. 2 साल पहले तक, although I was coaching people. I was coaching people and I also had this thing, यार, you know what? ऐसा काम करके जाना है. I should leave a legacy. People should remember my name. People should remember my name. In last 2 years, I've understood that even though no matter what you do, even if people should remember your name, so what? Who are these people? Who are going to? We are living in such a small single planet. Who do you think we are? Tomorrow, nature can destroy us like this. Why are we not understanding this? हमारे से पहले ये 2 लाख सालों से ह्यूमन बींग्स एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं, पर 2 लाख साल से अर्थ नहीं है. अर्थ हैज बीन देयर फॉर बिलियंस ऑफ इयर्स. अर्थ में सिर्फ एक क्रिएचर नहीं आया है, ह्यूमैनिटी. अर्थ के ऊपर हजारों क्रिएचर आए हैं, और अर्थ इटसेल्फ इज वेरी वेरी स्मॉल इन द ओवरऑल कॉस्मोस. सो हु आर यू थिंकिंग? हु इज गोइंग टू रिमेंबर योर नेम एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट? Whom are we fooling ourselves into? Why are we not changing a definition of success? Why are we not changing our story? Why are we not disconnecting our life experience, our joyfulness, our happiness, and disconnecting this with whatever that we end up achieving in our career, business, health, relationship? If you understand this small aspect, this is a very fine line to understand. If you can understand this, your growth in your career, business, finance, health, relationship is going to be way more. In spirituality, going to be way more. You think that only when I grow, then I will be happy. If I'm not growing, if my life is not happening my way, then I have all the reasons to become sad. And people say, you know what? Being sad, being angry, being this is so common because it's a part of a human emotion. I get this. I understand. I get this. I understand. We all are human beings. We have negative emotion, positive emotion. But the way we are justifying it and the way we are talking about this is not going to help us to learn what we need to do to change it around. The very first thing that needs to happen for us to change it around is this. We've got to change our definition of success. That's step 1. No matter who you are, no matter what you end up achieving, if you are watching videos of so many rich people out there, of somebody who is a stock market investor, the #1 guy in stock market, the #1 coach, the #1 politician, the #1 sportsman, and they are talking this language and you are hearing it on YouTube, on books, on videos. No, you should achieve success. Success के बगैर कुछ नहीं होगा. Success is the fact that we have a life. Success is the fact that we have got a life. We have got a life to live. But we are not going to get this. You know why? रवनीत बोल तो अच्छे रहे हो, पर नहीं यार, ऐसा नहीं होता. ऐसा नहीं होता. पता है, ये आपका दिमाग है, आपको डोमिनेट करेगा. ऐसा नहीं है, बिकॉज बचपन से कंडीशनिंग लेके बैठे हैं ना कि सक्सेस तभी होगी, हैप्पीनेस तभी होगी जब करियर आगे बढ़ेगा, जब बिजनेस आगे बढ़ेगा. If you get this part right, that success is in the fact that you've got a life to live, you will end up achieving more success. I'll give you a reason why. When you're happy for no reason, without attaching your happiness to your career, business, this, that, when you're happy for no reason, would you end up focusing more on solutions in your career, in your business, in your health, in your relationship when the problems comes? Yes or no? Ask yourself today, when you're just happy, do you even feel like sleeping? You don't feel like sleeping, guys. When you're happy, you can go without sleep for days. Yes or no? But when you're sad, you don't want to wake up from your bed. Yes or no? Let me know. Yes or no? So what does it tell you about life? What it tells you is, if you can be happy for no reason, the amount of bandwidth the amount of frequency that you will have in your mind to focus on solution for the problems that you're facing in your career, business, health, relationship, whatever area, is going to be all the more. When you focus on the solutions, your success in all of these areas is going to be all the more. Now that's a very fine line to understand, which is what I was telling you. I was growing like anything before 2 years as well, as a coach, as a businessman. But my growth in last 2 years has been way, way, way further because I've understood this small aspect of life, which is the more you don't attach anything to the certain kind of a story that it is running in your mind about what life should be, what success should be, the more you disconnect from that, the more your success come in the materialistic world. But the more you're going after and you're attaching your happiness to that materialistic success, the more it is not happening. Ask yourself, being into sadness, depression, anxiety, is it helping you to move ahead in your career? No. Is it helping you to grow in every area of your life? No. So what should be the by default? I asked this question on my Facebook page also yesterday. Should happiness not be on by default? Should happiness not be on by default? The fact that you've got a human life. The only thing which is going to stop you is again your mindset. That's the reason you got to work on this. That's the reason you got to take control of your mental faculties. All the people who have gone through depression are going through depression or will go through depression. For most people, it's a mental state, not pathologically driven, not medically driven. It's their own way of doing things, the way they run their own machine. This is the biggest machine out there. Should we not talk about how to run this? Should we not talk about how to handle our thoughts, how to handle our feelings, how to handle emotions? Because if we are not going to run, if we are not going to learn how to drive this car, how is it going to happen? It's not common. Tomorrow, anything will happen in the society which most people are doing. We are going to talk about it is very common. It's not common. It's not. Today, China has been, every single year, China has been coming into our territory, trying to do bullshit. Tomorrow, if there is a weak government, they will also say it is very common. They do it every year. Why should be common? Should we not learn how to fight it? Why drinking has become very common? Why non-veg has become very common? Why alcohol has become very common? Why drugs have become very common? Why extramarital affairs have become very common? Why a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law cannot stay together? That's the reason a lot of people are living in isolated family. Why it is common? Can a man or a daughter-in-law or a mother-in-law, can they not learn how to deal with people? Can they not learn? Why are we making it common? Again, discussion happen. अरे आजकल तो बहुत common है जब लड़का शादीशुदा हो जाए तो अपने माता पिता से अलग ही रहो. Common है क्योंकि दो औरतें किचन में नहीं काम कर सकती हैं. क्यों? Can you not learn? Can all the people not learn how to deal with different people? Why are we making it common? Just because things have been happening which are wrong but has been happening in a big way, is it common? It's not common. Depression is not common. Please understand where I'm coming from. The more we say it is common, we kind of accept that, you know what, it's going to happen, it's going to be a part of our life. It should not be a part of our life. The reason it's a part of our life is because we are not learning how to manage our own faculties. The very first thing, change your definition of success. The second thing, accept that life is not going to happen our way. Life is not going to happen your way, my way. It's not going to happen. It does not happen for anybody. If it is happening 60%, 70% the way you want, be grateful for that. And I'm telling you, 60-70% of your life is actually happening your way. Ask yourself, आज अपने साथ बैठो और एक बार देखो कि मेरी लाइफ में out of 10 things, how many things are happening my way? You will find 6-7 things are happening your way. वो जो 3-4 चीजें नहीं हो रही है ना, उसी की वजह से प्रॉब्लम है. टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप, गर्लफ्रेंड ये, मेरी बीवी, मेरा करियर, मेरी फिल्में, मेरा स्पोर्ट्स करियर, मेरा कोचिंग करियर, मेरा ये, मेरा वो. Because things are not happening our way, these 3-4 things is the reason. We are becoming painful, we are becoming stressful, we are becoming miserable with our own selves. I understand the complication of this topic. But understanding the complication of this topic, I am not here to talk about this as something which is very, very common. It's not common. I also accepted this as common. That's the reason I could not take myself out for 2.5 years. There are so many people that I personally know, and I know that the way most people are, most of the humanity today is going through depression. First of all, they are not even aware of it. Because we are just not aware of what is happening here. We are just not aware. There is no consciousness, there is no awareness, there is no system to dominate your mind, there is no system to dominate your mental faculties. There is no system. Because people, first of all, do not even understand that there is a system out there. The very first thing is change your definition of success. Step 1. Step 2, accept that life is not going to happen your way. It's not going to happen. It does. Narendra Modi would have thought, I want to do this regards to GDP. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. China came. This thing came. Opposition came. COVID-19 came. This thing came. Now $5 trillion economy is not going to happen by 2024. It's not going to happen. But you got to respond to whatever is happening in your life. Things are not going to happen your way. But if you're mentally strong, if you're mentally tough, you can always respond, guys. You can always respond. Today we talk about depression as something, you know what, which is so common. Let's not treat depression as common. Tomorrow we will start treating everything as common. If riots start happening every single day, oh, it's common, yaar. Chal rahi apni life mein. Kyun? Riots are not good. We should not make it common. Please understand, I've given you multiple examples to make you understand what is happening in the society. I'll tell you why depression cases have come up in last 30, 40, 50 years. You know why? Because एक ज़माना था हमारे grandparents का, हमारे grandparents से उनके parents का, कि life को ना complicated बना के नहीं रखा होता. आज जो success की definition है ना, Instagram, TikTok, ये life, corporate, ये success की definition change हुई है ना, इसलिए इतने depression cases change हुए हैं. Life simple थी ना तब, इसलिए depression ज़्यादा नहीं था, क्योंकि लोग ना सोचते ही नहीं थे. आज जब मैं अपने webinars करता हूँ, सबको उनके assignments पढ़ता हूँ, most of the people are facing their own challenges with their mindset. Overthinking, laziness, procrastination, sadness, anxiety, which takes you to a depression stage. We make it very, very common. It's not common, guys. Please understand. The first step, again I'm saying, change your definition of success. Second step is to make sure that you understand something about life, that life is not going to happen your way. Life does not happen anybody's way. When life happens, you respond, you react, basis your strength, basis your ability, capability to respond. And the third thing, the very important thing, learn how to manage your mental faculties. Learn how to manage your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, because for most people, 99% people, it is their own, this thing within them which is creating all of these things. I created my own depression. When I say created, it's not I chose it. But because I did not know how to control my thoughts, control my feelings, control my emotion, control the way I look at my life, is the reason all of these things happen. I'm not saying people choose depression. I'm saying because we are not aware of what we need to do within here is the reason we end up choosing depression. I'm aware of the words that I'm using. I'm aware of that. But I also want to make sure that I speak about this so that it can go to as many people as possible. If you agree, great. If you do not agree, it's still fine. Like I said at the start of this session, just because I'm a coach, I don't think this thing that, you know what, I know it all. I don't know it all. Absolutely, I do not know it at all. But the way I want to speak about is the way I'm going to speak about without putting any filters here and there. So there are three things that you got to do. You got to change your definition of success. Second, you got to accept the fact that life is not going to happen your way. And the third, you got to learn how to manage your mental faculties. Because if you're not going to be mentally strong, mentally tough, depression is always going to happen. Sadness is going to happen because your mindset is always your enemy in most cases. Your mindset is not going to allow you to dominate it. It is your job, your responsibility to dominate your mind. The road is not there to protect you. You got to learn how to drive your car so that you're protected on the road. It's not the job of a road to protect you. It's your job to protect yourself by learning how to drive a car. In this case, learning how to drive this. How many of you have got this point? If you got what I said, mention yes in the chat box. If you got what I said, mention yes in the chat box. If you understood what I was saying, what I was trying to put across, mention yes in the chat box. If no, mention no in the chat box. Sunil, I'm not going to answer all of this question, how to maintain consistency. That's a different topic. If there is a question that you have regards to whatever that we have discussed, you can ask me a question on that. Mention yes in the chat box if you understood. And don't agree with me for the sake of agreeing. Don't agree with me just because, you know what, I'm always passionate about talking about what I need to talk about. Don't look at my passion and agree. Agree if you really understand what I said, so that you can implement it in your life, so that you can help your family members to implement, so that you can help other people to implement. Let's not make things common. We understand the sanctity of this topic. We understand the complication of this topic. In fact, I don't want to say this, but let me just say this. In last 5+ years, I've come across various people who are part of my programs who were depressed, but I have been able to help them. I have not been able to help them. I have taught them a system to be able to help themselves to come out of depression. There are people who have been part of my programs. 16 years they have been taking medication, antidepressant pills. And within a month, they have moved away from all the antidepressant pills. Now, again I'm saying, for people who are pathologically mentally disturbed, that's a different story. But most people are not. In those cases, yes, you need to be on medication. But look at the way we are living our life. कुछ चल नहीं रहा अपनी लाइफ में, कोई फेमस सेलिब्रिटी एंड ऑल दैट, बॉक्सर कुछ चल नहीं रहा, बस डिप्रेशन, एंटी डिप्रेशन. A medicine is supposed to treat you, but ask yourself, why would somebody be on antidepressant medicines if they are not pathologically mentally disturbed, or mentally there is a cognitive way which is happening in their brain? If mentally it is not happening on a pathological front, why most people are continuing medications for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years? A medication is supposed to treat you, right? If it is not treating you, what is the use of medication? Because it has made, first of all, it has convinced you. You have convinced yourself, you know what? If I am not taking medication, I will have a sar dard, headache, ये वो. थोड़ा सा पेन नहीं लेना है, एंड अपने अंदर स्टोरी बना के रख दी है कि जिस दिन मैंने मेडिकेशन नहीं लिया ना, उस दिन मेरा दिमाग खराब होता है. थोड़ा अपना टाइम तो दो. बिकॉज आपने यूज टू बना दिया ना, इसलिए वो यूज टू हो चुका है. इसलिए यू हैव क्रिएटेड दिस स्टोरी कि जब तक मैं डिप्रेशन एंटी डिप्रेशन का पिल का मतलब ही होता है कि आपको ट्रीट करे, पर वो ट्रीट कहाँ कर रही हो? तो आपको यूज टू बना रही है ना. Are you not understand this? This is simple plain logic, but we would not understand this. You know why? Because you know what? I will only trust doctors. I will only trust doctors, credible doctors. I will not trust Ravneet. I will not trust somebody. You trust your brain, logic. You understand your logic. Antidepressant medicine is supposed to treat it. Is it treating you, or is it making you used to it? For most people, it is making you used to it. Most people today are not only on antidepressant pill, but many things. BP medication, diabetes medication. Somebody has told them who has been very credible, and you accept it. But there is no mental toughness to fight it within. There is no mental toughness to convince your brain that how you can overcome the medication. So somebody has told you have got a BP problem. You will be on BP medication for the rest of your life, because somebody as credible as somebody has told you this, and you will obviously accept it. You will not create your own mental toughness to be able to fight it and to be able to move away. There are certain cases, yes, you need to be on medication. I am aware of that. But please understand, it all starts within, guys. If you are not going to accept this, we are always going to be, in fact, the next 30 years, the next 40 years, your children, my children will be more depressed. If we don't change the definition of success, if we don't change the way we live our lives, and we teach them how to live their life. You can grow all the more if you change your definition. You will not grow anywhere if you do not change your definition. Your colleagues is backbiting, is having jealousy, all of that stuff, is trying to compete with you. You also do the same thing. Do the same thing, you will get the same results. Live your life the way most people are living, and you will also get the same results. Or change the way you have been living your life. I'm saying it again. Please, you don't need to go to Himalaya. आपको monk बनने की जरूरत नहीं है. I'm giving you a logical reason. If you can understand this, it is really going to benefit us as a society. I want people to get this point, which I think is right. You might not agree. If you don't agree, no problem at all. You can hate me. But if you think it is right somewhere, it is something which is making sense to your brain, please implement this. Chandan is saying yes. Basil is saying yes. Ashutosh, yes. Any questions? Payal is saying yes. Okay, great. Any questions? Any questions that you guys have? If there is any question on whatever that we are discussing, you can ask me a question right now. Any questions? If there is any question, please ask me right now. Any questions on what we discussed today? Any questions, guys? All the people who are there on this call. I know it has been an intense session, but you know what? I also laugh a lot. It's not that I'm intense only. I'm not intense. I think I'm a nice person. I'm a lovely person, so I laugh a lot as well. It's just that intensity comes when something which is very dear to you, and you really want people to be able to get that point. Sometimes it comes, so it's okay to be intense. But I just want all of you guys to make sure that you implement, because implementation is the key, execution is the key, guys. So how can we overcome the depression? Poonam. So Poonam is asking, how can we overcome the depression? So first of all, I spoke about 3 things, Poonam. The first thing I spoke about is you got to change your definition of success. And I spoke about this in detail. The success is not about what you think it is, or what people have made you believe it is, or what society have made you believe it is, or what your parents have made you believe it is, what your friends have made you believe it is. Because most people are having the same definition. You got to change your definition. And I gave an example that no matter what you end up achieving, Poonam, in the overall scheme of things, it is going to be nothing. You and me are nothing, but we think we are. You know what? I'm way more than what what this humanity has to offer. You and me have made ourselves very very important in our own heads. We are not. We are not. In the overall scheme of things, we are absolutely nothing. You got to change your definition of success. That's the first point. Second thing, accept that life is not going to happen your way. Life is not going to happen our way. You got to respond to it the way it happens. You got to react to it. And the third, which is the most important part, which you got to learn, Poonam, which is how to manage your mental faculties. Essentially, how to manage your own self within your mindset. How do you need to get the mental toughness? Because the more you know how to drive this machine, the more when things are not happening your way, you can control it. You can react to it. So the third part, which is the most important part, you got to learn it, Poonam. You got to learn how to manage your own self, because that's where everything starts and that's where everything ends. So I hope I have answered your question. Payal is asking, yes, exactly how to overcome with what mindset. So Payal, I would suggest you to attend some of my free webinars, and once you attend my free webinars, and if you want to take it forward, attend my paid programs as well. But start off with attending my free webinars, which happens every single week, where I talk about how do you dominate your mindset, how do you become mentally tough. Puneet is saying explain beautifully, fantastic. I would not be able to accept any request to be on the live video. How to control our emotions so that we can avoid depression. Viru, it's a question which is again related to your inner game. Viru, how to control our emotions. See, what are emotions? Emotions is nothing which is going on within us, of what we perceive life to be, how we see life to be. And a lot of emotions get generated. Emotions of sadness, happiness, joyfulness, cheerfulness, depression, anxiety. We all have human emotions, but the only way that you can control or you can direct your emotions is once you learn how to direct it. And for that to happen, you've got to learn how to direct your mindset from an overall perspective. The same question Payal, I think, also asked. So I would suggest you to attend my webinar for you to be able to know how do you start your journey towards dominating your mindset. Because the way I see it, the only way that you can, or I can, or anybody else can do anything in their life is once we know how to dominate our mindset, which includes your thoughts, which includes your feelings, which includes your emotional state as well. Today, a lot of people, when breakup happens, divorces happen, separation happen, what runs haywire? Nothing runs haywire on the outside. You might think everything is going haywire on the outside. What is going haywire is something which is inside, which is your emotional state. So how do you control your emotions? You got to learn a way to do it. There is no single tip or single answer that I can give, my friend. There is no answer. I'm not going to fool myself for you, and I'm going to give you, this is the tip. There is no tip. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Google for taking tips. There are no tips which works. A lot of people goes for taking tips on how to overcome laziness, procrastination. Tips does not work. You got to learn how to drive the car completely. Otherwise, it's not going to work if you just learn what is brake. You got to learn the complete functionalities of a car, my friend. I hope you get my point. If yes, just mention yes in the chat box. No questions. I've overcome depression. I was in depression for 5 years. And also BB medicine is removed. It's just the mental aspect and the way we think. Fantastic. Fantastic, Harvinder. Very proud of you. Yes, dominating mindset is very, very important. Sangeeta is saying seeking help also does a lot of help. Yes, Sangeeta. So a lot of people right now are giving interviews, are coming onto TV platforms. They're talking about when somebody is in depression, they need an ear. Somebody should support them. Somebody should do that. I agree, Sangeeta. Yes, I myself have people in around me when I've seen where they need help. They need an ear. They need support. They need non-judgmental attention from you. I understand. But Sangeeta, what I am saying is, for us to be able to take anything from the root cause, should we not learn a system to manage our faculties? Yes, what we can do to be able to come out of it is a different story. But should we not learn how to avoid it? How to get into depression? Because today it has become very normal for us. My last year was great. I was happy. This year is bullshit. I'm sad. I'm having anxiety. I'm having anxiety attacks, panic attacks. What do people say today? This modern world, English में क्या बोलते हैं? Migraine. Headache को migraine attack. नए वर्ड निकाल के रखे हुए हैं because it looks cool. Migraine. Headache नहीं, migraine. We have become so cool ना. सबके सब कूल बन चुके हैं, सबके सब इतने वेस्टर्न एजुकेटेड हो चुके हैं, सबके सब इतने इंग्लिश में जाना चाहते हैं. एंड डोंट माइंड मी, मैं भी इंग्लिश में बोल रहा हूं, बट प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट्स द माइंडसेट वे वी आर कमिंग. नाइस वर्ड्स, अमेजिंग वर्ड्स वी हैव कम अप. Medical fraternity have come up with amazing words, and we choose to speak those words all the time instead of really getting to the root cause. The root cause is, yes, we can help people who are going into depression. Seeking help is important, but what I am saying is, can we not avoid depression for the rest of our life? Can we not avoid this emotional state for the rest of our life? Can we not work on the root cause? What's the point of just working on the surface layer? Can we not work on the root cause? If the marriage is not happening, your marriage is going for a toss, should you just try to resolve that particular issue which created the disagreement, or should you really get to the root causes of all the issues which have piled up, which has taken your marriage to a place it has been today? Should you not get to the root cause of it, or should we just work on the surface layer of it? Is the question. Today's session is to talk about how do we get to the root cause? How do we become a person who can just remove depression from the rest of our life? That does not mean there will not be a state where you will not feel sad a bit and all that. But it has become very common because we have accepted all of this as very, very common. So I hope, Sangeeta, you're getting where I'm going. Do you have any YouTube channel based on this? Payal, I have a YouTube channel, Ravneet Singh Chawla. Just mention my name, Ravneet Chawla, on YouTube, and you will find videos on there. Any other question, guys? I don't know what's the time right now. But hi, what do you think, can a person come out of depression without medicines? I have been hearing things like this from past few days. So Waggle V crazy _ me, whosoever you are, I have just one thing to say. If you are a person who is not pathologically, and if you are going through yourself, you will understand the word pathology. If you're not a person who is going through a pathological mental depression, then for most people we end up creating it. It's not that we are creating it consciously. Okay, unconsciously we end up creating it. The whole point is, if you learn how to move away from past references, how to convince your mind, how to be able to dominate your mind, how do we change our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own emotions? The first step is you got to believe that yes, I can move away from medication. Because the reason there is no belief, because you have been given a conditioning by people around you, by your with all respect, your doctors, everybody. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. So a credible person as a doctor, we accept their point of view because they are credible, because they are a doctor. Have you not seen cases around the world in the past and even today when medical people have given up on people, still people have survived because they had the will to survive, they had the will to get better? Yes or no? It all starts within. Having said that, that does not mean you can treat yourself for some other things which really needs medication. But for most of the people, when you are into depression and you start taking medication, because we have become so used to it by the conditioning which has been given from people around us, and we also do not have any belief that we can actually overcome it, is the reason we would never be able to overcome it. So how do you change your own belief? How do you change your own system within for you to start believing that, you know what, if I learn how to do it, I can do it? So the very first step is, you have to give yourself an opportunity to move away from medication by learning and accepting that yes, I can. And then you got to learn a system to do it. Whosoever it is, whosoever asked this question. Sangeeta is saying you're amazing indeed. You're also amazing, Sangeeta. Thank you so much. So I hope today's session was amazing for all of you guys. Ravneet Singh, thank you. It was nice interacting with you, bro. I'm able to dominate my mindset completely, and you have a big role in that. So thank you so much, guys. I hope today's session was amazing, was fantastic for you. You learned something and you're going to most importantly implement. If today's session was amazing for you, fantastic for you, please type it in the chat box. Yes, YES in the caps, in the chat box or in the comment box. Please type in YES in the caps box, in the caps. Harvinder Singh, your books are amazing. Yes, I gave away 4 ebooks on mental toughness recently, completely free of cost. So thank you, Harvinder. Please mention YES in the caps if you think today's session was fantastic for you. And before you sign off, I want all of you guys, or I expect all of you guys, to not keep this learning to yourself. I'm very passionate about India, okay, my country. And I'm very proud of my own passion about my country. But my country is not going to change by one person. My country and your country and our country is only going to be changed once all of us do it. Which means if today's session has been of some value to you, it is your responsibility as well to spread this word. Not for this video to get likes or comments and all of that stuff, because my happiness is not dependent on any of the like on any of the comment, on any of the followers. Spread this video to as many people as possible because it's your responsibility to do so. On this note, I'm going to take your leave. Thank you so much and have a fantastic evening, all of you. Thank you so much.